Julep, pop, 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 julep, pop, 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 woo! Hey. Uh-oh. Did we lose our shit in here? I think we lost our shit on the intro here. Not sure what's going on. Maybe he'll pop back with us. Let's go ahead and go to this view so that we have the other folks that are with us just in case. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Learn It Live series that we're working on. Today, we're going to learn all about the Fluid Responsive add-on for Client First. We've got from top to bottom, we've got Emmanuel. Emmanuel, what's up? He does content, SEO. He did the SEO course. He does videos, all around superstar. Alex Iglesias, say what's up. Alex is our CTO, the brains behind a lot of the technical stuff that we do. Harshit needs no introduction. Mr. Speed Build himself. Y'all have seen him before on different episodes of this, doing client first live builds and things like that. And obviously I'm Rymar here, live with you all the time. So, what's up, guys? Anybody want to say hi? Let's start at the top. Let's go from the top down. Emmanuel, what's up?
Nothing much. Excited about this stream, and I think the solution is so simple, and a lot of you who are watching are not yet familiar with fluid responsiveness and so on, and I'm sure you're going to love it.
Nice. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, Alex.
Hey everyone, it's been a while. I don't know actually what to say, so just excited to share more. I'm always happy to share stuff, so feel free to ask any questions, anything that comes up.
Yeah, and Alex will be handling any technical questions, anything structural that you have. So go ahead and leave those in the comments. Harshit, what's up? Say hello. Oh, your audio's muted, I think, Harshit.
Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone. Very happy New Year, first of all, to everyone out there. And I hope you all liked the Christmas present. And I was so excited for this particular add-on. And it's just adding a lot of power to the client first system itself. So I'm very excited about this stream and share with you all, guys.
Yep, and if anybody's not familiar, I don't know, I gotta imagine if you're watching the stream, you're probably pretty familiar with what Client First is. But if you're not, it's a naming convention, naming convention for every person, for every project. It's something that we released, I think, like 4 or 5 months ago here at Finsweet. It's like the culmination of lots of work between all of the different developers on our team, all the people who build with Webflow inside of Finsweet. We kind of all mashed our heads against this thing. We did some testing with people from the community and really put together a strong system for sharing and doing, just building semantically in Webflow. And that's what this is. Lots of you all have been asking for some fluid responsive functionality inside of that. And so that is what we're going to dive into today. Harshit, I'm not seeing your screen. Did you drop your screen there?
Sure, yeah.
Let's say what's up to everybody who's in the crowd real quick. So let's take a quick look and see who's here. We got Babas. What's up in the house, Babas? Caleb Rainey, Disruptive Social. What's up? Elchin Husinyeli. Fernando Comment, Gabriel's here, Greg Dolan, Jay Poucher, Jeremy, Joe Krug's in the house, Keith Armstrong, Maria, what's up? WKD in the house. Here we go. Babas, what I'd like to do for my use case is make the layout fluid responsive from the max width down, from 80 rems down, if that makes sense. So maybe we can show some of that. We'll definitely cover like how this all works throughout the stream. Daniel, what's up, everyone? Joe Whitaker, hello and happy new year. Aditya in the house. Aditya, we got to get you on one of these streams too. So Mustafa, been looking forward to this. Let's see. Jay Poucher says, what's up, yo? Skeptical about this. Hope to be proved wrong. I'm not sure what you're skeptical about, but we are about to prove you wrong. Harshit, what's he got to be skeptical about? Armando.
I am actually really excited for this stream. I think I missed you, Rama. Sorry.
Yeah, Jay was just saying he was skeptical about this, so I think he's skeptical about
Ah,
the fluid responsive. So, Emmanuel, you got any thoughts on why you shouldn't be skeptical?
Yeah, I think why he's skeptical is because he's not sure if it's accessible and so on. But yeah, we're going to show him that our system responds to the browser settings, and yeah, hopefully we'll prove him wrong. But it would be good to hear why you're thinking that. Yeah, why you're skeptical in the first place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Alex, any thoughts? Give us some heads up from a technical standpoint. What do people need to be thinking about here? Like what's kind of happening behind the scenes? And I'm gonna pull Harshit's screen in because that reset. So while you do that,
Yeah, sure. So I would have to explain a little bit about how RAMs work before saying anything else about this system. But basically, I can do just an introduction for everyone. If you've been reading Client First Docs, you may already know it, but if not, this might be helpful for you. But basically, when we're using one RAM in when designing, we're just saying that one unit of a RAM is equals to the font size of the browser. Usually, this browser is equal to 16 pixels. That's the size that's the default, unless you change it. But then people can go ahead and change the settings in the browser. So if you want to have everything bigger or smaller, you can go to your browser font settings and you can change that. You can just say, well, it's not going to let you specify the actual value of one RAM. It's just going to tell you if it's going to be bigger or even bigger or small or even smaller. But in the background, that's just saying it's just changing the what it's one RAM what's equal to what. So by default, it's one RAM is equal to 16 pixels, but this can change depending on that. And this system that we're using, it's just using this. So when you are using this graph that we're going to show you later, you're just going to specify that at specific breakpoints, the font size of the browser, which by the way, it's still going to take into consideration the settings, but you're going to be able to scale that font size based on the graph is going to help you. And actually, when Harshit starts to use it, we can do just a brief explanation of what's happening then. But I think that the core concept is that we are just tweaking what's one RAM equal to what. So when you're designing with client first that you're using everything using RAMs, you're just scaling the value of that RAM. But yeah, I can just explain more
Hmm.
once Harshit goes ahead
Yeah.
and dives into it.
nice. Emmanuel, any thoughts
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to add is you, Alex, explained how you can adjust the browser's font size and so on, but it's not being just adjusted in the browser. For example, on many Android devices, you adjust the font size on the device, and then that size gets inherited by the browser. So probably you saw your dad or your grandparents having like huge letters on their phones, and that's exactly because they're adjusting that root font size.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and just as a quick disclaimer, some of y'all might be having questions about like how does this compare to wizardry, other fluid responsive methods. We're not going to get into that today. We're doing a deep dive on that. We will do a dedicated show to that. And so feel free to ask whatever questions you have. I do see some questions coming in the comments here, and we will address those throughout the show. But just know that we're not going to get into the specifics of that. We don't want to kind of piecemeal those answers. We want to put that all together in one place, and we'll release that as a documentation for that. So, Harshit, is your screen ready? Should we jump into that?
Yeah. My screen is ready. We can start.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go, let's see. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So
Okay. Nice.
walk us through what we're doing here. Bring us back. This is a build that we did during the client first live builds, right?
Yeah, this is one of the builds. Actually, this is the second build, as you can see with the name FS Live Build 2, and we built the PlayStation controller website, And today we are going to make this fluid responsive. And we also have another website, another live build that we did, and we are going to make that fluid responsive as well. So I can simply start making it responsive. Now, there are two ways to make the to actually get access to the code generator. You can either go and use the client first website itself. You have to go to client first website, then go to the documentation, and here you will find the fluid responsive generator. But the easiest way, here we go, this generator, but the easiest way is to use our Chrome extension. And here, if I go to components and then client first, I have a tab for fluid design generator. I don't need this generator at this point. Both are same. I'm going to use this, and it's very accessible. I just have to click here, and then I can access it very quickly. Nice. So first, I would like to just explain all the bits of it, like what are these fields doing here, and what this button can do, what this switch can do here. I'm just going to explain all of that first. So here, the graph that you see is a relation graph between our screen width, our breakpoint, and our root font size. And Rimar, please stop me if anyone is having any questions. I'm more than happy to answer that. So this particular graph is a relation between screen width and our root font size. I would like to mention very one thing here before I start, that root font size and the browser font size are two separate things. And please correct me, Alex, if this is wrong, but uh,
HTML font size. So
yeah,
the font size in the HTML, it's still inheriting the font size from the browser settings.
exactly. Yeah. So these two are different things, and we are just relating our HTML font size to the browser font size to kind of make it work. So what we have here is our HTML font size and our screen width with this graph. And this graph is pretty easy to understand. We just have to type in our breakpoint value. Let's say I'm going to type in here 1440 pixels. And just on top of this value, I can type in the font size, the HTML font size that I want on that particular breakpoint. So let's say I want 16 pixels of HTML font size on 1440. Then I will just type here 16 pixel. And this will let me just, when I copy the code, this will set my HTML font size to 16 pixels on this particular breakpoint.
So Harshit, let's stop
Can
for
we? Yeah.
yeah, let's stop for just a second and
Sorry.
explain a couple things here. Let's explain the process here. Obviously, we're showing this little chart. There's a snippet that you're going to grab. So Alex, can you maybe explain, you know, the process of adding this to a site first? So let's go back for people just a little bit, and let's kind of walk through what this thing is and how somebody would use it. And then Harshit, we can dive back into the explanation. And maybe Emmanuel, you can talk to us a little bit about like the implementation and when to choose how to use this, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure. Can I start?
Sure.
So, well, first of all, adding this is as simple as picking that CSS snippet that it's being generated and putting it in your project. Usually, you want to preview this CSS snippet, so you want to put it inside an embed, because inside the page of the project, the project settings, you cannot preview that CSS. So for working designer, it's not convenient. But that's actually super simple. Just copy and paste it in the embed. I just wanted to say that maybe for letting people understand it better, how about Harshit just create a new page and put it a simple text block that's 1 rem of font size. Just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a like simple generated that's just 1 rem, and then put the generated CSS snippet, because I want people to see how that 1 rem, when you resize the browser, it's becoming the specified sizes that you the sizes that you specified at the specific breakpoints. And that visual is going to help everyone understand what's happening in the graph.
And we
Okay.
are
So do you want me to publish it and share the link? I mean, open the inspect tool.
You can just do it right in the, well, maybe you can publish it better because the inspector has the designer has a lot of boilerplate. But
Okay.
okay,
So
cool.
first I will add I will quickly add the code itself.
Yeah, just maybe, but you need to put the snippet, the CSS snippets, so
Okay,
people
Hey,
can
there you
see
go.
it.
and just
Yeah.
if y'all could let us know here, it is looking like we're getting some rendering lag. So I'm not sure how that's affecting the actual output stream here. This is laggy. It makes me wonder if it's yeah, we're getting some comments about some of the lagginess on the stream here, and I don't know if it's just due to the number of folks or if it's just my computer freezing. I'm using about 92% of my CPU right now, so I think that's like off to
Let's
the
hope it
races.
doesn't flow. Okay, so I believe it's being done because it's freezing for me too. Cool. Could you show Harshit to people the graph the settings of the graph?
Yeah, for sure.
So what's going to happen is that once we publish this, once we preview this, one rem is going to be always equal to the specified size in that chart. No, based on the screen width. So I don't know if I'm saying that. Okay, so we have the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. I'm going to wait until people see the chart because I don't know if it's me or everyone.
sure. Yeah. So what we have basically done is we set a font size, HTML font size of 16 pixels in 1440, and we have 14 pixels in 991.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
we are going to
example.
just check. Yeah, and we are going to check it
Yeah.
out now.
Yeah,
So
that works
I,
for every single breakpoint that's specified in that chart. So if you show the other breakpoints, the 767, that would be at 17 pixels, or at 1478, that would be at 16 pixels. I believe that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, let's go ahead and show it so people
yeah,
understand the relationship that's happening between the chart and the value of one rem.
sure. So here is our text,
So hey guys,
and
I hate to do this, but literally we're getting like
It's freezing.
90% lag here, and we're getting comments from the
Yeah.
folks. They can hear the sound, but they're not being able to see the image here. I don't know that there's an easy way to fix that without starting to like boot folks off of here. So let's try one. Sorry, Colleen. Let's see if my CPU
You're
drops a little
nominated.
bit. You've been nominated. Okay, let me reset this count here, and let me see how this. It's still, yeah. Flashback to no code comp. Okay, we might have to try to drop one more and see what happens. It could be that we're just gonna have to redo the stream. Because I'm getting some distortion too from. Oh, there it goes. It's gone. All right. Not gonna lie, it's not looking good. Yeah, and Emmanuel, I'm getting some serious buzzing on your end too. I'm getting a serious like they called it a tractor, I think they said.
yeah, like a generator.
Yeah.
Generator. Is there like do you have a fan or something on in the background?
No, not really. I had my mic muted like 90% of the time.
Yeah. So they're saying it's like one frame every 5 seconds. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what to do here, guys. I'm always like stuck when it starts glitching like this, and it's like a 99%. Like OBS is telling me I'm getting 99% like frame drop, which means they're literally not getting any signal, and my CPU is at 96%.
I'll give the people an assignment then.
Sign language here. I hate to do this. Do we drop one more person off the island here? Rock, paper, scissors. Who's going?
Joe is saying, boot Emmanuel.
Boot
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
I can hop in.
Okay, let's see what happens here. Sorry, Manuel. Bye.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, so let's turn off guest 2 and let's
Hunger Games in here.
it's the Hunger Games of live streaming. Joe, we're gonna have to set up a proper streaming computer. Okay, that did not really seem to help. Let's see what happens. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't think it's just not. It's not playing nice. I don't think this is going to be a lot of value for anybody watching, to be honest.
Can we just keep talking at least?
Yeah, I mean,
Answering questions, maybe?
we could do podcast style. We could just do some audio. I just don't think the video is
Yeah.
gonna play much. Let me.
What if you share your screen, Reimer? Does it change anything?
I can. Harshit, let's kill your screen. Let's see.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I don't know that I have like a site set up that I could pull this up into, but I do have, like, if we wanted to try to talk through some of this. Okay, I'm getting down into the 80s.
It's looking better now, I believe.
Let's see. Okay, let's see if this sticks. This looks okay. Let's see if this goes. So we can at least talk through some of this. Like, let's talk through all the pieces of this. I could open, let me see. I don't know that I'm logged into Webflow, but let me see if I can pull up. This looks like it's fairly stable now. I honestly, I'm wondering if it
looking
was
better.
Yeah, it's looking better now. It's looking, still can't see the CSS page. Finsweet, they're talking about Squid Game. Okay, give them a second to catch up. I think this could be okay now, though. So, Harshit, what site should I open up? Should I get into the Webflow backend and see if I can pull something up?
Oh,
Can you just send
yeah,
him?
yeah, sure. I can send you maybe a read-only link to this site, or you can
Yeah, and
open.
also the published version.
It got better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
as we can see. Watch for the stream. Try to copy a client first template and play with the settings and fluid design. Emmanuel saying it's back now. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. We're
Cool.
going. We're good. Okay. So somebody was gonna send me a link to a read-only link. You said Harshit sent it here.
Just shared the link, and
Opening.
I also shared the live link.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if I have the browser extension installed on the on my on
No,
the, on the second.
But that's
computer here.
fine. That's fine. Just open the live link,
Okay.
and let's inspect the font size.
Okay.
Did you get the live link?
Yeah. This just gets hard because the screen's small. Tick. Okay. Yeah.
I know, but this one, I don't think that this page has the CSS snippet on it, right?
Correct.
Rashid, what
This is
was the page
Yeah.
that had the CSS snippet?
Oh, it's slash new page. I just shared the link again with you, Ramar.
in Slack. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in Slack.
Sorry, folks. Bearing with us here. We're trying to make
Yeah, cool.
adjustments
Got it.
on the fly.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all. I think it's all.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so if you open the DevTools and just resize the screen for a second, on the top, on the second button on the top left, there's a button to that one. You can resize the screen in here. Cool. Okay. This now it's following the chart that Harshit that defined. It's not looking good because the values were a little bit random. But basically what it's happening, that text, that paragraph, that heading in there, it's set to be 1 rem of the size. This could be anything. Could be 2 rems, could be 3 rems, could be not font size, could be a padding, a margin, could be anything. But for now, this is using a font size of 1 rem. And that 1 rem, it's replicating the value from that chart. So in that chart, if what value was it at 1440?
Yeah, it's 16 pixel at 1440, and
okay, so
at 991 it's 14. Yeah.
Okay, so if you go ahead and put it at 1440. Yeah, that one in there. 1440. Cool. If you, I believe you have to hit enter. Did you? Probably. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Then if you grab the other button that's next to the resizing button, the one that has an arrow on it, on the that tools,
On the
on the that tools.
Oh, this one here?
That one. Yeah, and just hover the in there. Just click on it and then hover the heading. You can see that the font is set to 16 pixels. That's the computed value of that heading. So that heading right now is being rendered at 16 pixels of font size. And if we keep now just making the screen smaller until we
Yeah.
reach 1991, this heading is going to be transitioning. Well, one RAM is going to be transitioning from 16 pixels to 14 pixels. 1991, you have to set, right, Mark?
Yeah.
91.
Yeah. 1991. Not nine. Sorry, not 19. 991. Sorry. Yeah, like that. So now, if you hover on that heading, it's going to be 14 pixels. It's 16. That maybe then the chat was not correctly defined, but this should be 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can refresh, Remar.
Do a what? Refresh it?
Yeah.
No, but that should work. That means that the snippet is not correct. Harshit, could
Oh,
you check
I
it
see.
again?
I see. There is a issue that you know, the second.
It's not an issue
key-
with the tool.
That's an
It's an issue with
yeah,
the setup.
it's not an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing
there you go.
I feel like we're doing a disservice to
Yeah.
this here, honestly.
I'll take the chance for now.
Yeah.
Can I answer a couple questions in there?
Yeah, of
Because
course.
people is asking why not use clamp instead. The reason for that is because in clamp, you just define what maximum value and what minimum value you want to get, but you cannot define how quickly is that value growing. So you can just say, okay, my font size, I want it to maximum be that amount and minimum be that amount, but you cannot specify what amount do you want it to be at a specific breakpoint. That's why we're using calc and not clamp. And actually clamp, it's, if you try to use clamp, it would be the same, because from one breakpoint to the other breakpoint, you're specifying two values, and those two values are the minimum and the maximum that you're going to get on that range of Uber widths. I don't know if I explain myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems to make sense to me. What else can we try to show here with this limited demo here? Like, what can we? And I think what we can do is maybe we can do. We'll plan on Tuesday doing a proper refresh of this, because we don't have a growth episode set up for Tuesday yet. So I think we'll make it up to everybody and we'll do this properly on Tuesday. But while we have folks here, if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like to see that we can try to explain with the setup that we have now, there's still 50 folks on the screen. So let's try to get some value out of whatever we can show people here. Nick Jones is saying, isn't he adjusting the height there and not the width? I don't know. I think that was asking something. Pablo Cortez is coming back. Yes, but with clamp, you can also specify the ideal value. I don't know, Alex, does that make sense?
No, so in clamp, you can specify the value. So you for example, usually people uses clamp by setting one RAM plus one view per width, for example. But that's kind of tricky to get the value at a specific breakpoint without making calculations. That's a tool. That's what that tool is doing. It's doing it for you.
Yeah, and that's what Emmanuel is saying here, that the CSS calc function is essentially taking care of what clamping would do.
Yep, correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. Hershey, did you set the settings in the project? Can we refresh it now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's try to refresh the page.
And let me see, can I zoom in here? Will that make a difference for the folks watching at home there maybe? Okay.
Are you zooming in?
I'm zooming in just at the browser level. So I don't know if that will mess with this stuff here. So I've
Yeah, because
I've refreshed the screen. Is that going to
yeah,
mess
but
things
when you're
up?
using because when you're using this resizing, you're not zooming so you need to remove that resizing tool if you want to zoom actually on the page. You cannot zoom with that
With
toggle.
what do you mean? What tool?
Um,
Oh, with this selected.
yeah, with this.
Got it.
So
Got it.
you can
Got it.
zoom
Got it.
in with this, but you cannot zoom in. Correct.
Yeah, and it's zooming there. You can see it. It's just the I think the font now that it's set to what it is, it's not zooming in.
That's actually. Can you show me again?
Yeah, it looks
Can you
like
refresh the
like
page?
yeah.
Because we're getting an issue
Let
here.
me refresh. Let me close the inspect. Let me refresh this, and then just from a straight shot, there we go.
Okay, I was getting, I was being scared right now. Like, hey, why is it not working? Okay,
Yeah, and
cool.
it's showing me. Let me do one thing here so that people can see because I've cut off a little bit of the screen. So just give me 1 second here. I'm gonna resize this and bring this up so that they can see. Let me just do that so that they can see that as I'm
Yeah.
zooming
Oh,
here, it's changing the actual zoom
sure.
there in the font. Okay. So so am I going back to inspect? What else are we showing with this?
I want people to see how the font size is going from 14 pixels at 1991 to 16 pixels at 1440, which is which is what Harshit defined in the graph.
Okay, so
Yeah. So in
we'll
here,
keep
if you
this.
use
We'll
the
go
arrow,
1440, and then we use this little
something is.
arrow guy, and we hover over this guy, and it looks like it's still sitting to the 16 there.
No, and
Yeah.
you go now to the 1440, to the 991,
Nine.
and now it should be 14 pixels unless something weird is happening with the.
Yep, now it's set
So
to
now it's
14
working.
there.
Okay, now it's
There we go.
working. Okay,
Yeah.
And that's where
yeah.
I was hoping to be
So
able to zoom in a little bit. Let me see. Does that? It's not going to give them. I was just trying to get a
no, no,
little
no,
better
that's
for the
not going to
folks at
work.
home, to see on the screen there because I don't have the ability to like zoom in any easier there. Let's see. Here's a question from Joel Whitaker saying, "Thanks for running through this despite the technical difficulties. It's nice to get a technical overview from Alex." Yeah, and maybe we can set a little something back up. I'm trying to. It really just it seemed like harsh shit. Let's do something again. Try share your screen. Let's try one. Let's try just a real quick thing because I would like to walk people through the full process. Give me your screen one more
Yeah.
time. Let's try this real quick
For
because
sure.
I'm at like 50% CPU. Let's see if we can't break things again.
Yeah, I think if
Yeah.
we set now the entire project so people can see how the project is changing and not just one
Okay,
paragraph.
so let me copy this.
Can you see?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me see. Screen.
Let's cross fingers.
Yeah, cross your fingers, everybody. Click OK on this, and then let's go here and see what happens.
Okay,
Okay.
working fine for me.
Yeah, it looks like it is holding strong. Okay, let's try it. Let's see what happens. Our shit, you're back in the driver's seat. Let's see if we can get this going through. Let me see if we got any questions here. Rock and Roll did ask, on the graph I saw setting at 7 pixels is the smallest size for the largest breakpoint. Why would anyone set a font size so small? Is he missing something? So maybe Harshit, as you walk through the graph, can you explain, now that people understand what the graph's doing, it looks like streaming is going okay here. Let's talk through this process again. Let's show what we're doing at each of these phases of this little adjustment graph here, and then let's show copying that little snippet, and we can answer some of these questions as we go.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, for sure, Rimar. So I'm going to start again with this graph that we have, this beautiful looking graph. Okay. So what we are basically doing here is defining the breakpoints and the font sizes, the HTML font sizes that we want on those breakpoints. Very simple to understand. Just for example, here I am setting 1440 at 1440 breakpoint. I want my font size to be 16. Simple, right? At 991, I want my font size to be 14, something like this. Now the thing is, this value was overriding it before. That's why it was becoming 18. Now what I will do here, I will set this back to 14 from my 991, and then here at 767 I'm going to set it to 14, to let's say 13, a smaller value. But what this graph is doing, we are just defining the HTML font size in those particular breakpoints. Now I'm just going to,
So hang on,
just like
I
Alex
want to
did.
clarify
Yeah.
that just a second. So essentially, this grid has your different breakpoints, and at each breakpoint, you're setting a min and a max value, essentially, right? That's what's happening here. Is
Correct.
at each of these
Yep.
breakpoints, you're able to set, okay, when this thing gets to a certain point, shrink down to this size. When it gets to this bigger point, expand up to this size, and that's the curve that you're creating here with this chart, and you're able to set that kind of at every breakpoint. Now, I want to ask you one question, Harshit,
Yeah.
here, because I see when you adjust the last one, it kind of trickles through to the rest of them. So can you explain, and maybe it doesn't trickle through, maybe that's just the graph expanding, but I could see where maybe folks might see that confusing. So on that last one, can you grab that and just make a little adjustment
Yeah,
there and just show what I'm talking
for
about,
sure.
how it like, and explain why that's
Yeah.
happening or what's happening different there than at the other breakpoints.
Yeah, for sure. So we can also drag and change the values here. That is something that we can do with this graph. But what Remar is saying is this last line that we are seeing here, that is extending to infinity. Okay, so that means when we have this kind of value, that means our font size, that HTML font size, is going to increase on this slope, with this rate of increase. Okay, we can say it like this. We also have a switch to kind of stop it. So when I turn this switch on, I mean I don't want to scale my website more after this last breakpoint. So in my case, my last breakpoint is 1440 pixels, and when I switch this on, I'm saying I don't want to scale my website more after this particular breakpoint, the last breakpoint. Okay, so this graph is actually representing that particular thing. The last line that you see, Remar, is representing that. If I switch this on, that my website is going to scale infinitely with that pace
Got
and
it.
maintain the fluid responsiveness. Yeah.
Got it. And now I can add breakpoints here if I want, right? This isn't just limited
Yeah.
to the 4 Webflow breakpoints. I can kind of adjust this fluid responsiveness to different breakpoints that are not native to Webflow, correct?
Yeah, you are definitely right. We can use this plus icon right here and add multiple breakpoints. We can also reset to default. If we are lost in somewhere, we can definitely do that. In a lot of cases, we feel like creating a breakpoint in between 991 and 1440, and that spot is, for me, it's 2080 1280. And in 1280, generally a lot of time I create a point in between that 1440 and 991, and then I define a font value here as well, just to make sure, uh, just to change the curve, change the graph of my HTML font size. And I can now manage how aggressively it scales up and down, basically that. Yeah.
Nice.
So
We
yeah.
we have a couple questions here. So let's take a look at this. Jeremy's asking, do you have to copy and paste the new embed if you change the pixels each time when you're testing it? So
Yep.
how does that work, Alex?
Yeah.
How does that snippet
So
attach?
initially, I was thinking on adding some automation from the extension. So just click on and update the project. But then it was a little bit tricky because I don't know where people might be locating the embed that they. So because maybe somebody puts it at the top of the page, somebody puts it at the bottom of the page. It was a little bit tricky. So I thought it was better to keep it simple, just copy and paste. It's for the first time that you test it, I understand it can be cumbersome because you need to be copying and pasting every time. But I don't think that will be a problem once you get the gist of this.
Yeah, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's see. There was another question here. Can breakpoints be removed after creating them in the little editor here?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can remove it.
Yeah. Yeah, and not only can you remove these breakpoints, but using the Webflow or the Finsweet extension, you can remove the Webflow breakpoints at any size above the 4 native ones. So yes, that's not only can you just do this with the responsive, fluid responsive, but also with regular breakpoints. Penny's got a good question here. So does this mean that we don't need to adjust the font size in the styles panel at smaller breakpoints?
Maybe if it fits your design. I would, as Emmanuel was saying in the comments, be aware that if you decrease it too much, you can get some elements that are being too small.
Yeah.
So that's up to you, playing around with the rems that you're using in your design, and the equivalence of one rem that you're setting with this chart. That's actually up to you.
Yeah, and I feel bad that we
Yep.
had to boot Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you're on the next stream, brother. Disruptive Social. He's replying here. In my builds, Emmanuel saying, I just make sure that the lower value is never below 14 pixels. This way I don't need to prevent elements from scaling down. So I think that goes back to Penny's question even, where you kind of want to make sure things don't get too small, because then you could just like shrink everything, and then things maybe like become unreadable or unnavigable or whatever, you know, and you don't want to create that.
Yeah.
Can we show it to people working
Yep.
on this project?
Yeah, let's take it now. So now people have us. Okay, so hang on, one more thing. So Harshit. Okay, so we've understood this. We've created the little graph here, and then what? I see the CSS is being written underneath. I just kind of copy this snippet and do what? Let's take this code now and put it onto the page so they can see kind of how that works.
Definitely. So first I will prepare this thing again here, really quick. I think I would like to go with this settings for now. I can just copy this uh, code, and I will just close my extension, open the HTML embed, and I will simply paste the code here. That's it. That's it. What I'm doing here. You can
So
also
where
add this code to your
you
global
just dropped an
styles.
you just dropped an embed on the anywhere on the page, huh?
Whatever, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe
Very
somebody's
simple.
already using client first, and so maybe there's like a global styles. Would they want to put it there, or would they put it somewhere else?
Yeah, so this I think I will suggest putting it inside the global styles embed,
Yeah.
because we are going to place global styles in all of the pages, right? That's why it's recommended to place there. Uh, for now, just to show you how we can paste it inside, so I'm using this embed. This also works, but
And
it's
also
recommended to place it as. Mhm.
the style embed should be high as possible in the tree of the page, just to avoid flashes. Yeah, because it could
Hmm.
be that the HTML loads, but the style hasn't loaded yet, so you have a weird flash. Just
Yeah,
put it on the top.
yeah,
That's
it's
it.
good
Yeah,
point to make
there we
there. So
go.
just stick that at the top. And why
And
is that, Alex? That's because the browser's just rendering things
The browser
sequentially,
will,
right?
yeah,
So it's like kind of
correct.
it's reading your code kind of like a book. It reads it from top to bottom. So if
Yeah,
you put something like that at the
correct.
bottom, it's going to load it with whatever it's got at the top, and then once it gets to the
Yeah,
bottom, then it's going to make that little switch to that,
that's
and that's where you'll get that little flash, right?
correct. That's why you always see the CSS in the head and not at the end of the body. That's precisely for this, because you want
Nice.
people to
and
see the styles from the beginning. And Armando's saying, can I put it in the site settings custom code? You can, but you won't be able to preview it in the designer.
Mm.
So if that's fine for you, you can.
Yeah, and
Can we
show people.
show
Yeah, Harshit,
resizing?
go into the
yeah,
preview this and show them. So now the code's in there. That's the snippet's been copied in.
yeah, and
So,
here we go. So there is not there is slight change here, Amar. There is something that can confuse people, that hey, my website is not looking exactly like how it looks on 1440, and that's not what we are doing here. In our system, we are basically giving you the power to control the rate of change of that font size. So you can make it look exactly same if you want, or you can control the rate of change of that font size using that graph. Okay, so right now I'm using this, where at 992 this is 14 pixels, one ram is 14 here, and if I go to 1440 it becomes 16, and that is why there is not a drastic change. If I want to make this linear and look like, hey, I want it to look exactly the same, I'm going to change my values a bit. So I will open the system here, let's say again, and if I decrease my value a little bit, I will try to make that a 45-degree angle. Let's try to go with 12. Now it's more steep, right? I will just copy this value again, and I'm going to paste it inside the embed. Now you will see that it looks more like how it looks
yeah.
on the bigger breakpoint at 1440. But we are not going to do this. This is something that you should avoid, because of the fact let me scroll down and show you. Fonts like this can get really smaller. The fonts like 14 pixel, if you have a 14 pixel font, it can get really small, not good for accessibility. So, and that is why we have the option to control the rate of change of font. So you should always test it, because it's not taking any of a lot of your time. So you should definitely try out some of the things, and then take a decision to go with.
Yeah, Alex, I got a total side note thought here. The copy to clipboard button was like, for some reason I was just thinking, what if this CSS could be in that symbol, and somehow that was just an update, update my responsiveness instead of like a copy the code.
That's actually a good idea.
That would be cool
Let's
if
add
I
it.
just
We can do it.
just
Yeah.
like update it, and wherever that is in the
Yeah.
symbol, it's just going to update and refresh, so you don't have to go back and open the symbol and repaste it, and maybe have duplicate code or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, see, this how things happen here. We just like let's go through. We've got some questions here, so let's take a look. Okay, so I think going more back to the question here, do additional higher breakpoints that are added manually to the designer add to the tool automatically?
No.
So you have to create these separate.
It's because the thing of the tool is that you can specify any breakpoint, because maybe the Webflow breakpoints don't work for you, so it's just completely free. It's not connected with your breakpoints.
Got it.
You can add, remove any values that you want.
Got it. Okay. It looks like
Yeah.
Emmanuel has been going back and forth with this disruptive
Yeah.
social on, is there a case where we really want to keep an element at 16 pixels despite the minimum 14 pixels? Is this possible for element? So I think what he's asking here is, like, let's say there's certain elements you want to keep at a minimum size while other stuff responds. Is that possible?
It's possible with Clamp, with unique custom CSS for that. But we were already discussing internally to add a new section in this tool that lets you generate the CSS for you. But the Clamp, it's actually for this use case where you want something to not go lower or higher than a specific. Well, it could be Clamp, it could be min, or it could be max.
Yeah.
Depending on what you need. These are CSS directives that you can use.
Great. Melissa's asking another question, and I'm so sorry we didn't address this, Melissa. I think with the technical hurdles, I skipped right over this because this was on my list of things. It's like, what is client responsive for? Or, I'm sorry, why is fluid responsive? Like, why would I need this on a site? Why does it make sense for me to set this up? So, Melissa, thanks for keeping us in check here. I actually have a little title for this one. So, what say we to this?
Actually, there can be multiple cases regarding this. We don't really have only one case where we need this kind of fluid responsiveness. I'm going to give some examples. In a lot of cases, we really want our website to look exactly the same in all of the breakpoints, because of how they are designed and how things are placed in their absolute positioning or other things. We really want to make sure that our website, for example, the text you see here, dual sense wireless controller, when I don't have this fluid responsiveness, this text will wrap themselves up. Uh, if I go down, you can see that they are wrapping themselves up, right? In some of the website, we really want this text to be on one line and just scale down their value itself. So in those cases, we want to use the fluid responsive method. That is one of the case, right? There are other cases as well where there is one case that I actually found a lot of times. That is, I don't really use the fluid responsive for all the breakpoints. I specially use it for uh, tablets and smaller screens like a 13-inch MacBook or something like that, because some of the websites, they don't look good in that range. If I go specifically about the breakpoints between 991 to 1440, that is the range where some of the website are not really looking beautiful, right? So in that case as well, we use fluid responsive method to make our website look good in that particular range, and then the rest of the website can be a simple website. So these are the two use cases that I found in my case but there can be other use cases as well in your case.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Alex, did you have anything to add?
No, you did
Great.
great. Yeah.
Okay, disruptive social, staying active here. So saying, let's say I had a space blocker or a spacer block at 3 rem. What if I want to keep that at 48 pixel on mobile? Is that again kind of asking the same question? Do you define
Well,
that as a different? Would you just change that to a pixel value like on mobile, or how would you handle that?
well, so I'm assuming that you set the font size to be less than 16 pixels in the chart, right? Because yeah, in that case, the clamp would be what you need. So when using this chart, you're affecting the HTML font size, which means that every single value that's using rems, it's going to be multiplied by whatever you said put in the chart. If you want a specific value to not be affected by that, you can then use custom CSS and maybe in the future the tool to define a specific class that's using clamp or min or max to not to maintain a specific range of values just for that class. But yeah, that's assuming that you have a different font size for a mobile. Because if you want 3rem to be 48 pixels on mobile, you can just set the tool to be 16 pixels on mobile. That's what you can do, but that's going to be for the whole site, not just for that class.
Correct.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Harshit.
Yeah, Alex, do you also recommend setting, let's say I have a space, just like the question, let's say I have a space block where I don't really want to affect it in any way. I always want it to be in, let's say, 48 pixels. So in that situation,
You
can
could
I
use
just
pixels for that.
use
If it's
pixels,
just
right?
if it's a spacing,
Yeah.
that's enough. That's fine because it's not anything related to your content. So it's not going to be fully accessible if you want it to be scaling with the font size of the browser, but it's a space. So if it's a space, you don't care about that. You can just use pixels, and that's not going to be affected by this tool.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that's clear.
Nice. Okay, let's see. That was gonna be my question. There was one else. What was I gonna do? Okay, I'm not seeing what I was going to. There was one other question I was just gonna bring up here.
Maybe one thing that we should point out, because I see that many times people like to use these kind of systems when they are designing the website, for example, in Figma, and they're using a specific artboard size. So maybe in Figma, you use an artboard that's 1440 pixels, and you want to replicate that same exact layout from Figma to your site. You can assure that with that tool. So you could say, for example, at 1 rem, I want that artboard to be the breakpoint to be equals to 20 pixels. I don't know, whatever it fits to your artboard size, and then you can resize it and make sure that that breakpoint is exactly as your Figma design, your Adobe XD design, whatever. That's a good way of seeing it that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Emmanuel is saying, can you show an example with super aggressive scaling? Yeah, we should definitely show that and how dangerous it can be. So in some cases, so let me actually show you. I will just make this a font HTML font size scale very aggressively. I will go to the extension and let's do that. So on 1440, I want my font to be 16 pixel, the HTML font. Then at 1920, I'm going to make this thing huge. Let's go with 50. Now you can see the scaling is very aggressive here. Copy it to clipboard and then let's create the embed, put it in the top and paste the code there. Here we go. And now, okay, so right now I'm at 1440, as you can see here in the top. There we go, 1440. Now I'm going to scale this up. Let's go 1920. You can see it's scaling aggressively. And this is an example of aggressive scaling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, we have an option where after our max breakpoint, let's say I want to set my max breakpoint at 1440. Here is my 1440, and then after this I really want a mild scaling, so that our website is not looking bad in the big screens, and it's also not looking very tiny, right? So I can simply just adjust the value by some small numbers, maybe by, let's go with, here it will be 16, and here it will be, let's say, 17 or 18. I will go with 17. Now what I have here, the graph, it's very I would say mild here, so I can just copy it.
Yep.
I will paste it here, and now you can see that it will not make a lot of difference when I'm trying to zoom in and out here, because of the graph that I have here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I show you a cool trick too?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
One thing that people likes is that on mobile, a layout looks exactly the same for every single mobile phone. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, a big iPhone, or is it a small Android, whatever. You can actually do it with this tool. If you, Harshit, go to the chart,
Yeah.
yeah, open the chart, and on the lowest breakpoint, which is, yeah, make it go from 0 pixels to 16 pixels. Correct.
There we go.
That's it. That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. And now, yeah, just let's update
This
this.
is the moment, guys.
Yeah,
This is the
and now
There we go.
resize it. Oh, cool! It's
Oh.
looking exactly. So yeah, we're having a little jump in there, but basically the layout it's looking exactly at every single mobile size, which that's cool because you can expect every
Nice.
single mobile to look at your website exactly.
Now, will that create
Yeah.
any issues? Like, if I open
Yeah,
this?
it could be, that could be issues if the mobile phone is very small, because then maybe the font size becomes very small. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that let's imagine that 320 it's usually the smallest phone. That
Mm-hmm.
at 320 it's still looking correctly. That's still looking fine, and people can read it correctly. You know.
Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Harshit, go back to like the desktop view here
Oh, sure.
and slide in and out here. I was noticing like when it got crazy, like the logo shrunk real small. Could I put my logo in Rems and have that respond? Or is this only going to affect text elements or other things? Can I also put other elements with the fluid responsive
Yeah, everything.
measurements?
Yes. So everything that is in Rems are going to be affected in our website. I think logo was not affected because you can see the width and height is set to auto here.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason I think that that was not affected. You
Yeah,
can see
that's why
here.
I saw it, and I just thought it was a
Yeah.
good question to ask because I could see, like somebody else maybe seeing that and thinking, oh, maybe I can do this too. So, kind of talk a little bit about the limitations there. So, basically, anything I size in Rems is going to become responsive inside of this.
Yes. So we have to make sure that we are using Rems for everything in our website, and that's why we are calling it an add-on to Client First, because in Client First we are using Rems everywhere. So, and this is how it's going to work. So yeah,
Nice.
your website doesn't have to be Client First, but it needs to be in Rems. That is the important thing here.
Nice. Okay, Philip is asking, can we talk about why not use HTML font size in VW and then use the Rems in the build? I'm assuming is what that is saying there.
Yeah. If you use VW in the font size, then you're going to have zooming problems. Okay. The reason for that is because how the browser zooms. And I don't know if we have time for that, but basically, when you're zooming, you're actually just changing the breakpoint size. So if your laptop is set to, for example, 1920, and you zoom in and 200%, then the new breakpoint would be the half of it. It would be probably 90, 1860, probably. No, 1860, no. just the half. I don't want to do master. But then the browser, it scales up the pixel ratio of of the screen. So now you have half of the breakpoint, but the double of the pixel ratio. Okay, and it's hard to show it visually, but what happens is that VW reacts to this, and basically everything stays the same. So, and all your values when you zoomed in, because of the breakpoint changing, but the pixel ratio also changing, the VW stays the same. So it's like no zooming was done at all. That's the main reason. In the case of the
Yeah.
calculations that you see in this tool, the output of the calc, it's actually Rems. So yeah, there's a calculation in there, but the result of that calculation, it's in Rems, not in VWs. That's why it still works.
Yeah, it's and Emmanuel is kind of going into the same thing there, showing an example of super aggressive scaling, but also how images and other elements are scaling too, which we just talked about with Rems, and how VW kind of negates that, because the viewport width is just looking at whatever the size of your viewport is, and there's no relative scale there, right? So it's not like taking a percentage of the viewport width. It can take a percentage of the rem, which represents like a core pixel size, but the viewport height or the viewport width is going to be the viewport height or the viewport width. So if you set those sections and you try to scale inside of that, that viewport height and width is not changing. So there's really no way for it to like know where or how to zoom in and out on that. So hopefully that's clear to folks.
Yeah.
WKD is asking, I don't get how you can put two different font sizes above the same breakpoint in the add-on. Was he seeing something wrong? Can you open that back up and show in the yeah.
Two
Yeah,
different
so
font sizes?
I don't think he's there's a font size on the high end and a font size on the low end, WKD. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Maybe you can clarify that a little bit.
Maybe he's addressing the previous question about a specific element not following the font size that you've defined here. Which you for now you need custom CSS using clamp, min, or max.
Joel Whitaker saying, I would love to see someone build a fluid responsive platform game like Mario and Webflow, just throwing it out there. Yep, that seems like it would be fun. It may be beyond the capabilities of the platform and the tools at this time, but that would be cool to see. Also, if you're watching this and you're getting any value of it, I know we had some technical difficulties, but go ahead and slap a like on that video. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We're right at the hour mark, so anybody who needs to go can go, but let's see if we got any other questions to kind of go through and make sure we don't leave anybody hanging here. Disruptive Social, love the fact that it's visual in the designer. That's always a win. When you can see the edits like live in the designer, that's always a win. Greg Dolan, is it now 50 pixels or 3.125s what it originally was? Well, it won't become 50 pixels. It may show it at that size, but we're multiplying based on rems here. Am I missing that? I think that seems like that's from our earlier question. Does that make sense to either?
Oh, no, but yeah, he's right. So the pixels are just a reference for you. What's actually happening is we're scaling proportionally. So the 3.125 times the original font size, that's the correct definition.
Got it. So when we went big and scaled to big, you were putting the 50 pixels in there, but you're just putting the 50 pixels in, and the system then does the math to multiply the rems to get to that size, right?
You can actually, in the chart, you can change the unit to percentage. Can you do it, Harshit?
Yeah, for sure. We can.
Yeah, percentage is simpler for you. Just put percentages. Yeah. And in that case, that's the actual calculation. We're saying, for example, that the font size is going to be 106.25% the default font size. So that's why we're not overriding the browser font size. We're just scaling it. Yeah. If you change the browser font size, it's still going to scale
proportionate to that.
Yeah, correct.
Got it. Great. Rock and Roll CEO is saying, so basically any element size in rem will scale fluidly. That is correct. That's kind of what's happening here, is that rem based design is a global unit based on the body pixel size, and the rems is multiplying against that everywhere you use it. So yes.
Yeah, correct. And I think WKD also wanted to ask how we have two font size on top of one breakpoint. So would you also like to take on that, Alex?
Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, I think what WKD was trying to ask is how we can have two font size on top of a single breakpoint. Here you can see that on top of 1440.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so that was his
That's
question, I
that's
think.
yeah. That well, you can show it visually, but basically, when we change from if you don't use the same font size and instead you use different font sizes, it just when you switch a breakpoint, it's just going to make a jump. So it's
Yeah,
going to jump from a font size to another. It's not going to be fluid. That specific change, but it's up to you. It's
yeah. And if you want to keep it fluid, then we have to keep those these two values same, right?
Does it all work on a
oh,
BlackBerry? If it's a modern BlackBerry with a responsive browser, I would imagine. Fucking Jay. Okay, let's see. A couple final questions before we go here. Philip is saying, in docs, you're saying that using VW will prevent browser zooming, but if we use VW plus Rem, then browser zoom works. So where is the accessibility issues with using VW plus Rem? I think this
there's
goes to, is it a container, or are you using the measurements on the element that you want to zoom? Am I wrong with that, Alex? What's the what's a good explanation technically there?
well, so I don't know if okay, let me read the question again because so in the doc you're saying that so there's actually no accessibility issue per se. There could be a possible issue if the scaling is too high that the zooming affects because when you're zooming you're changing the breakpoint so you can have issues with that. But you're most likely not going to have any issues regarding that. We've made sure of it. Um, but the calculation between RAMs and VWs, the output it's still RAMs. So there's no issues with zooming. You're not disabling zooming for the users when doing this. And I don't know if I solved the question. Maybe he
Yeah,
can
if that didn't get it for
answer.
you, Philip, maybe you can explain
Yeah,
or reshare what you thought there. Let's see, Greg Dolan. So is 16 pixels in the chart setting any typography 1-to-1 as set in the designer, and 32 pixels would be doubling the designer? I think we explained that with how the chart is kind of scaling proportionately to whatever your base value is. It's doing, whatever percentage growth of that. So as you can see, you can change that pixels to percentage, rems, whatever. Hopefully that helps you understand what's kind of happening there. Jay saying that might be the biggest thing of the whole stream. Brems controlling all responsive might have led with that. Just saying, yeah, that's kind of inherent in the system. I think that you could see some interesting things if people start really getting the hangs of using Rems for scaling. But also just note that it could create a lot more headache than you need in certain instances. I don't know that every element on your site needs to be like, when you're doing this fluid responsive. Harshit or Alex, what do you think on that?
No, I don't think every website needs this.
yeah,
It's really use case based. If you really feel you need this kind of system where you want the website to look exactly same, or your website is not looking good in smaller screens, then you should use this. But I don't think it's mandatory for all the websites.
Yeah.
yeah, same.
Yeah, or for
Yeah,
all the elements in a website, even if you do use the fluid responsive on a site, you may not want every piece of the page kind of adapting like that. Let's see. Emmanuel is saying that's exactly what we're doing. The solution is accessible. Excellent as usual. Thank you for sure. Okay, gonna take some time playing with it. That's the way. Like you can watch all the
Yeah,
videos, you can read all the books, but like unless you go in here and just start playing with it, that's when you really start understanding what's happening here.
yeah.
Um, and Emmanuel's
And if
saying,
someone is
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, if someone is interested to see how the formula is working, because this is pure css, right? So you can simply switch on this button that says add editable variables to the code, so you can see how the formulas are working, how these are css variables. And if your maths is good, then you will be able to understand this. Yeah,
Nice.
and you can simply switch this off as well. There we go.
Philip's still saying, I still don't understand why using calculations rather than VW plus Rem, because the zoom in browser simply works. Yeah, I think, let's see, Emmanuel saying, why are we using calc instead of just Rem plus VW? I'm not sure where there's maybe we can do like maybe we can address that. So I have two fonts for the same width, and as Alex just said, it can create a jump when you get to this width. I have to keep both for the same to be smooth. So they're just going back to a few of the different things there. There's lots of nuances here, you know, like there's lots of things to kind of
Uh-huh.
just play with and explore. That's where I think the best thing you can do here is really just get into, you know, the software and start playing around with the tool. And then you'll find out little quirks, little idiosyncrasies, how to make it work best for your builds. This isn't something that I think you're just going to slap into a client first build and everything's going to be perfect. You might have to go and you might have to tweak a little something. You might have to like resize something you did a certain way before you were thinking about building with Fluid first. It's one of those things like anything in Webflow that the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. The more you understand what's happening behind the scenes, the better you'll kind of understand it, how to make that work efficiently on the front end so that it's good for your end user, so that it's good for accessibility, so that it's good for any other devs that have to get into that project. And so, yeah, this is, again, just like a learning process. I'm glad we got some of the issues synced up. I'm glad we were able to get through some of this. I still think we should do another dive into this because it would be cool. I don't think we did as much setting up and going and showing. It'd be cool to have a couple examples just to really see, you know, the nature of that. So I think maybe next week we can do another deep dive on this just to get a little more hands-on with it.
Yeah. Uh, I would also like to mention one more thing, Rema. There is a confusion between why we are using VW and RAM and why
Sure.
we are not using only VWs. So please correct me, Alex, if I miss any point. But the thing is, if we really want to make our website accessible with fluid responsiveness, we will have to keep a relation between our HTML font size and browser font size. And to keep that relation, we are using Rems here because we so that we can have a relation with the browser font size. If we use only VW, we will disconnect our browser font size to the
Correct.
HTML font size, and that disconnection will not let us zoom in, and that will lose big accessibility points. And that's why
Yeah.
we are using Rems here, so that it's always connected to the browser settings.
Yeah. For there was someone in the comments saying that he was setting the HTML font size to only be VWs. Go
Hmm.
ahead and try to change the font settings of the browser, and you will see how it doesn't scale the site when doing that, because
Yeah,
it's not going to react to the. Yeah.
we can show it here as well if you want.
Nice.
So
Yeah, for example,
let's.
that this is still going to scale with the Rems, but it's not going to be affected by the browser settings.
Yeah, there
Correct.
we go.
You
So
can do it.
yeah, I just set the font size to VWs, and now you can see the website is fluid responsive. But I
Yeah.
am going to publish it, and I will try to zoom it, and I will try to change the font settings as well from the browser. So let's
Yeah.
first try to zoom in and out. You can see that it's not really zooming when I'm trying to zoom in and out. It's staying the same, and it changed here because it switched to the mobile breakpoint, of course. But here you can see it's not really changing itself. Let's try to change the font settings from the browser
Yeah. And
settings.
then people can see how to change them. Because sometimes maybe you don't know how to do it. Yeah.
There we go. I simply search it here, but you can also find it here. And now I will change it to large. You can see it's not affected at all. Let's make it very large. Not affected at all because I'm using VWs, and that's why we are not using VWs. We are using Rems so that we have a connection between our
Yeah.
HTML font size and browser font size.
Yeah, and that
I hope
comes
that
back to the
clarifies.
point I was
Yeah,
saying before, where like your viewport width and your viewport height does not change. And since that's a relative measurement to the size of your device window, there is nothing to zoom in to reference. Because even if you zoomed in a million times, the viewport height and the viewport width are still going to be identical because that's your screen size. And so you have to give the computer, the browser, something to reference against that so that it can have something to scale against that zoom. And so when you're using the VW or the VH units, like you're just not getting that. All right, let's see. I think that's it. I think And did somebody ask the somebody asked the question. I think Emmanuel just said we'll get to that in a write-up coming soon. So I have to imagine Marcelo was probably asking, yeah, did we talk about the similarities difference with Timothy Rick's wizardry? Not this stream. We made the disclaimer at the beginning. We're just going to kind of cover the basics here. We do have a full write-up coming up on that. How, like every aspect of it. And on that stream, we'll answer all the questions in detail. We'll actually, it might be interesting to make a reach out to Timothy Ricks. I don't know if he'd be interested in coming on a stream with us, but that would be super cool to figure out. Like, it'd be cool to kind of discuss the back and forth on some of that. So, yeah, we'll keep y'all posted on some of that. I think that's it for the show today, unless harsh shit. Alex, you got anything else before we dip out of here?
No, just play around with the tool, because
Yeah.
seeing people use it, it's not the same as just you testing it yourself. Play
Yeah.
around with it. Try to break your site. Try to just have fun, and you'll understand how the thing is working. And once you get the
Yes.
gist of it,
It's
gonna
like
be super
everything
simple.
with the world of tech, you know, like with any kind of these hands-on stuff, like you just got to do the work. Who was it? Eric in our internal Slack shared an article the other day about doing not the hard
the
things,
real
but
thing.
doing the real things, doing the real things. And a lot of times, like a lot of us get caught up. I was talking to about this with a friend the other night, and he wants to like get more video clients. And he was like, I'm going to build my website, and I'm going to like take this course, and I'm going to make my business cards real dope, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, you don't need to do any of that shit. You need to start making videos. You know, you start producing videos.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to this kind of thing, like you can watch all these live streams, you can go learn this method, that method, you can pay for whoever's course, you can spend as much money as you want. But until you open up your Webflow site and start digging in and start breaking things and learning, it's not going to get any easier for you. So that would be my word of encouragement, is just, you know, jump in, dive in, see how it goes. And then you can have some real questions to ask, right? You can come to us and say, hey, I tried this and it didn't work. How do I fix this? Or why doesn't this do a certain way? But until you kind of really understand that, a lot of those questions will just be answered in the process of learning. So that would be my encouragement to everybody. I guess we'll see you Tuesday for another stream, and then Thursday we'll get hands-on with some of this stuff again. Any? I think I already asked y'all, but any final words here?
All good.
All right. See y'all
Yep.
later. Thanks again. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. We'll catch y'all back on Tuesdays. See you later. Bye. Oh, the delay's long on this one. No, we're not. There we go. Okay, now we're out. Wow, the delay was super strong on